Hi guys, this is Jazz from Caitlin and Jazz Books, and today I thought I'd do something a little bit different. I know we haven't uploaded in a while, but I thought that I should do something actually helpful for once. And I thought exam season is coming up, so why not make a video about what I do to revise, and maybe, I don't know, it'll help some of you guys out. I think I'm going to break this video down into A-level tips in general and how to sort of survive the year, revision tips, which people can just use for any subject or whatever, and then I'm going to break down my subjects and how I revise for each of those for any of you guys that are studying the same thing. So, I'm not going to lie, WH Smith's has probably saved my revision this year. I am a visual learner, so I learn by taking in a lot of colours and things like that, so it really helps when I highlight my work, particularly as an English student. I like to highlight key quotes, things like that, and when I'm doing revision I always outline important things with my drawing pencils or felt tip pens or whatever, just to sort of make it jump out at me so that when I'm reading my notes back I can take in more information, and it's just really helpful. For example here, I've tried to make my notes as neat as possible so that they're easier to read back. I feel like that's a really bad setback if you've made notes for the entire year and you can't read them to help you revise. I learned that the hard way at GCSEs, my handwriting was terrible, so I've tried to improve it since then. As you can see, I've highlighted really important points, outlined it with dots and lines and things to sort of really draw my attention to them if they're that important. As you can see, I've made different keys for different topics just so that it's easier to lay out, and it's just much easier to read. It's a better format basically. You can really use the colours to sort of help you pick out important topics or quotes or certain questions that are likely to come up in your exam. It's just really helpful, so that's one of my top tips. For me, I find organising your notes by subject is really helpful because it means that not all of your notes are in one place, so that when you're looking through them you don't get them confused for different subjects, etc, etc. It helps if you have like a little colour scheme going on as well. For example, on the left here we have my biology book, which is green, so it helps me think of biology, and my English book is pink, which just helps me remember that. It also really helps if you buy sort of pads of paper, just lined paper, separate for your revision notes. This really helps me because it means that my actual workbook doesn't get cluttered up with rough notes and things like that for revision, which makes it really messy, and it's just a place where you can scribble down ideas. Another tip that's really helped me over the last year is getting a different folder for each of my subjects, and this just means that any loose sheets or anything like that that you have, you can sort of put away and it's kept safe so you don't lose it, particularly if it's very important. For example, I do English and we've had to do about 20 poems this year, which any of them could come up in our exam, so I keep them all in my folder so I don't lose them and all my notes, which I will need. You're going to have a lot of sheets at A-level, and just in revision generally, so this is really helpful. So first of all, I've made a revision playlist on my phone. I use Deezer, but I've basically got a playlist. Yes, most of it is pink. Shut up, it's great. And it's basically a playlist of songs that they're not very upbeat, so they're not particularly catchy tunes, just kind of chill to listen to, and that really helps when you're revising because I feel if you have something with a really strong beat, you can't focus properly, so this helps me. That's just my first tip. Revision-wise, it's really important to have breaks often, otherwise you're going to get bored and you're going to lose motivation. What I tend to do is have a break every sort of 40 minutes to an hour, and the break is usually 20 minutes or so long, because that really gives you a rest and it gives you a chance to relax and do what you really want to do. I always have to have a cup of tea or a coffee and a snack, maybe like a packet of crisps or an apple, maybe a scone. I find that during exam season I lose a lot of motivation to revise despite the fear of failure, so to keep me on track I always make sure to have a revision timetable. Honestly, it really does help. So I will lay out the different days of the week, the times that I will stick to revising those topics, and I will plan breaks for myself, just to sort of give myself motivation, etc, etc. Another thing that really helps me is pictures, obviously because I said I'm a visual learner, so if there's something like a diagram that I need to memorise, instead of just copying out the notes that the teacher gives me, I tend to draw my own, because I'm a bit of a nerd really. Flashcards have saved my life over this year. Flashcards are really great because you can sort of come up with your own questions which you think will test your own knowledge, because no one else knows you better than, you. So you can really test your weak spots and then check it and make sure that you're really getting it before you go into the exam. So now I'm going to move on to how to revise for English literature, which is one of my subjects which I do at A-level. So as you can see, I've got 2 copies of my books, which is A Thousand Splendid Suns and Tess of the D'Urbervilles, and there is a reason that I have 2 copies instead of just 1. So at A-level you're allowed to have the book in the exam with you, however the copy that you bring into the exam cannot have any notes or anything like that written inside. So what I find really helpful is to have 2 copies of the book, one which I can take into the exam and one with all my notes in, so that when I'm looking at key quotes I can refer back to them when I'm revising. Obviously if you're studying 2 really long novels, because I know both of these are around 400 pages each, it can be really helpful to make a chapter synopsis. Is really helpful when it comes to revision, so if you can't remember exactly where something happens or where a quote is from, this can sort of show you where. If I make essay plans, I make sure to put them into my notes book and do them really neatly so that if it comes up in a future exam I'll have all of these points to refer back to. This is for Dr. Faustus, which is the play I'm studying. With English Lit, half your marks are context, so I've underlined all of the context points in yellow, just so I know how to improve with context. Something that's really helped me study biology this year, which our teachers do, and it might help you if you don't do this at your own school, is we have a neat book. So after every lesson in biology we'll have to write up our notes really concise, answering exam spec questions in a different book, and this sort of challenges your own knowledge once again, and just make sure that you have a place where everything is neat and written down, just to help you refer back to it later on. Another thing I recommend is these workbooks from Amazon, and these basically go through the entire specification and ask you questions. Some of them are really complicated, so don't worry, I really struggle with these, but it makes sure that you're really researching into each topic and getting to grips with it, and you know it in detail, which, you know, everybody wants when you're going into an A-level exam. The final subject that I do is media, and I've pretty much said everything that I can really say because I've already told you how I revise my other subjects, which is very similar. So what I do is I keep everything that we do in media in my folder, and I have detailed notes on each topic, and anything that I don't have notes on I make sure to ask my teacher or to do extra revision for. Like with biology, I also use flashcards to help me with my media revision, specifically because a lot of your media grade, I think it's 60%, I think it is based on theory. So you have to know a lot of these different theories. For example, here you have how can a media audience be broken down, and on the other side you've got gears. Well, I hope so, otherwise I haven't been doing my revision right. Yes, gears, so you've got gender, ethnicity, age, region, and socio-economic status. And, you know, like I said, I've just recited that to you before I've even turned it over, so that just shows how much these help. So those are my revision tips and tricks, and just sort of how to survive A-level in general. I haven't yet, but hopefully I will. I hope this has been somewhat helpful to some of you. I don't know, maybe you're just watching this to procrastinate revising yourself. I know I made this video to procrastinate revising, but once again, I hope that, you know, you get the grades that you want, etc. So thank you very much for watching. Please leave a like, comment and subscribe because it's free, and someone will maybe see you soon. Bye guys.